Welcome to Explore TV. Now we take you on a journey through time, uncovering the mysteries of ancient Vikings rituals and their fascinating traditions. We dive into the legendary Viking funerary customs, where death was not seen as an end, but as a passage to another realm. Let's open Viking heart and soul. Open Viking. The Viking. A figure shrouded in mystery and legend, a symbol of strength and resilience. These warriors of the North were more than just men. They were the embodiment of an indomitable spirit that echoed through the ages. A whisper, a legend, a storm. The very elements seemed to conspire with them, as if the wind carried their secrets and the sea roared with their fury. The Vikings were not just a part of their environment, they were an extension of it. From the frozen fjords of Scandinavia they emerged. These icy waters were their cradle, and the harsh landscape their training ground. Every wave that crashed against their ships was a testament to their unyielding resolve. Their rituals, as harsh and unforgiving as their homeland, forged them into something more than men. These ceremonies were not mere traditions. They were the crucibles that tempered their spirits and honed their skills. They became embodiments of fury, their names echoing through the ages. In battle they were relentless, their ferocity unmatched. Each warrior carried the weight of their ancestors' expectations and the hopes of their people. These were not mere acts of ceremony. They were sacred rites, imbued with meaning and power. The fire they danced around was not just a source of light and warmth. It was a symbol of their inner fire, their unquenchable spirit. These were the rites that birthed legends. Each carving, each chant, each offering was a step in a journey that transformed men into mythic figures. The stories of their deeds would be told and retold, growing grander with each telling. These were not men playing at war, they were warriors, born and bred for battle. Their training was rigorous, their discipline unwavering. Every muscle, every sinew was honed for a single purpose, to conquer. They lived it, breathed it. Every breath they took was a testament to their dedication, every drop of sweat a symbol of their commitment. In the heat of battle they found their true selves, their true purpose. Their gods, Odin, Thor, Freya, demanded strength, courage, and a willingness to face any challenge, no matter how daunting. These deities were not distant figures, they were ever present, guiding and inspiring the Vikings in every aspect of their lives. Their rituals were a direct line to these gods, a way to channel their power, their fury, into the heart of every warrior. Through these sacred practices, the Vikings believed they could draw upon the divine strength of their gods, becoming vessels of their might and fury. The Vikings lived in a world where the gods shaped their fate, the spirits of nature demanded respect, and the afterlife awaited the brave. At the heart of their spiritual practices were blóts, ritual sacrifices that connected them to the divine forces of their universe. These ceremonies were not just about offering gifts to the gods, they were moments of unity, gratitude, and devotion that bound Viking communities together. What were blóts? A blót was a sacred Viking ritual where people offered sacrifices, animals, food, and sometimes even weapons or treasure to the gods, spirits, and ancestors. The goal was to seek blessings, protection, or good fortune, whether in battle, farming, or seafaring. These rituals could take place at grand temples, sacred groves, or even private homes. Who were the blóts dedicated to? The offerings depended on which gods or spirits the Vikings sought to honor. Odin, the All-Father, received sacrifices for wisdom, victory, and war. Thor, the thunder god, was honored for protection and strength. Freya and Freya, the fertility deities, were given offerings to ensure bountiful harvests and prosperity. The Landvættir, land spirits and ancestors, were also honored for guidance and protection. The ritual process. Gathering the community blóts were often community events, bringing together warriors, farmers, and families to celebrate their faith. Animal sacrifice. A carefully chosen animal, such as a horse, pig, or goat, was ritually slaughtered. The blood, called laut, was considered sacred and sprinkled on statues, altars, and the participants to bless them. Feasting and celebration. After the sacrifice, the meat was cooked and shared in a great feast. Drinking mead or ale was an essential part of the ritual, strengthening bonds between people and gods. Offerings and prayers, personal items, weapons, or treasure could also be given as sacrifices, thrown into lakes, bogs, or burial sites as gifts to the gods. The legacy of blóts. Blóts were outlawed with the spread of Christianity in Scandinavia, but their influence remains. Many modern Norse pagans, asatru, have revived these rituals in the form of blot ceremonies, though without animal sacrifices. Instead, they offer food, drink, and symbolic gifts to honor the old gods. Viking rituals were not just acts of devotion, they were woven into the fabric of everyday life, strengthening bonds within their communities and affirming their place in a universe ruled by powerful gods and unseen forces. The Vikings believed that death was not the end, but a transition to a new realm, whether it was Valhalla, Hell, or another afterlife. Their funerary customs reflected this belief, ensuring that the deceased were well equipped for their journey beyond the mortal world. From majestic ship burials to lavish funeral feasts, Viking funerals were grand, spiritual, and deeply symbolic. Ship burials, a warrior's final voyage. One of the most iconic Viking burial customs was the ship burial, reserved for high-ranking warriors, chieftains, and noble individuals. The ship represented a vessel for the soul's journey to the afterlife. These burials took two main forms: buried ship graves. The deceased was laid to rest in a ship that was then buried under a mound of earth. The famous Oseberg ship burial in Norway is one of the best preserved examples. Burning ship burials. Some Vikings were sent out to sea on a ship set ablaze, symbolizing their departure to the afterlife in a dramatic and awe-inspiring ceremony. However, evidence suggests that this practice was rarer than often depicted in films. Inside the ship, the dead were surrounded by weapons, shields, jewelry, food, and even sacrificed animals or servants, believed to accompany them into the next life. Grave goods preparing for the afterlife. Whether buried in a ship, a mound, or a simple grave, the dead were always sent off with gifts. These grave goods varied depending on status and profession. Warriors were buried with swords, axes, shields, and armor, ready to fight in the afterlife. Farmers and traders took tools, coins, and household items to continue their work. Women of high status were often buried with brooches, weaving tools, and sometimes entire wagons, like in the Oseberg burial. Horses, dogs, and other animals were sometimes sacrificed to serve their owners beyond death. The Vikings believed that these offerings ensured a prosperous and comfortable afterlife, whether they entered Odin's great hall in Valhalla or the peaceful fields of Folkvanga. Funeral feasts, honoring the dead with food and sacrifice. Viking funerals were not just solemn ceremonies, they were also grand feasts, bringing the community together to honor the deceased. These feasts had deep symbolic meaning. The mini remembrance toast was made in honor of the dead, often with strong mead or ale. A ritual sacrifice, sometimes of animals or in rare cases humans, was conducted to appease the gods and secure the deceased's place in the afterlife. Some funerals involved the ritual burning of possessions, mirroring the belief that these items would accompany the deceased. Once the funeral was complete, a successor or heir would often be appointed, ensuring that the deceased's legacy continued. Although Viking funerary customs faded with the arrival of Christianity, their rituals of honor, remembrance, and sacrifice remain legendary. The grandeur of their burials reflects a culture that deeply valued bravery, loyalty, and the journey beyond this world. In the heart of Viking society stood the Thing, an ancient public assembly where laws were made, disputes were settled, and justice was upheld. It was more than just a meeting, it was a sacred tradition, deeply rooted in Viking beliefs about honor, fairness, and community. Purpose: a gathering of free men. Unlike monarchies or centralized rule, Viking governance relied on the Thing, where every free man had the right to speak, debate, and vote on crucial matters. Whether deciding on war, settling land disputes, or enforcing justice, this assembly was a cornerstone of Norse democracy. Rituals of justice, law in action. The Thing wasn't just a council, it was also a courtroom. Vikings brought their grievances, and judgments were made openly, with the entire community ensuring fairness. Punishments varied from fines and exile to, in extreme cases, death. Honor and integrity were at the core of Viking law, and breaking societal rules could lead to outlawry, meaning the guilty party was stripped of all protection and could be hunted down without consequence. Rituals of vows, oaths that bound fate. At the Thing, oaths and vows were taken with the utmost seriousness. Whether pledging loyalty, making agreements, or swearing on matters of justice, breaking an oath could lead to severe consequences, including banishment or even execution. These vows were often made over sacred relics, emphasizing their weight in Viking culture. The thing was more than a legal gathering. It was a place where Viking values of honor, respect, and community were reinforced. It showcased the Norse way of governance, where law and order were maintained not by kings but by the people themselves. Would you have thrived in the Viking world, standing among warriors and chieftains, voicing your thoughts at the thing? Let us know in the comments. In Viking culture, words carried immense weight. A spoken vow was a binding contract. Honor, loyalty, and duty were etched into every oath, and breaking one was not just a personal failure, it was a disgrace punishable by exile or death. Sacred bonds, the power of oaths. Viking society thrived on loyalty and trust, and oaths were the foundation of this unbreakable code. Warriors pledged allegiance to their chieftains, brothers swore to protect each other, and traders vowed fairness in their dealings. These promises weren't made lightly. Failing to uphold an oath could stain a Viking's reputation forever, leading to dishonor, punishment, or even execution. Blood oaths, a warrior's unbreakable promise. Among Viking warriors, a blood oath was the ultimate pledge of brotherhood and loyalty. By cutting themselves and mixing their blood, warriors sealed an eternal bond, one that extended beyond life, ensuring they would stand together in battle, in death, and even in Valhalla. Betrayal of such an oath was the gravest sin, met with swift and merciless retribution. Revenge and blood feuds, honor must be restored for Vikings. Dishonor was a debt that had to be repaid in blood. If a family member was wronged or killed, vengeance wasn't just expected, it was a sacred duty. Blood feuds could last for generations, with families locked in endless cycles of revenge, only ending through a peace settlement or the complete destruction of one side. While violent, this system reinforced the idea that no offense could go unanswered, ensuring justice and honor remained intact. Viking vows weren't just words. They were lifelong commitments that shaped their society, their battles, and their sense of justice. Could you uphold such an oath? For the Vikings, a feast was never just about food. It was a sacred ritual, a celebration of victory, and a bridge between worlds. Whether honoring their gods, rejoicing after battle, or paying tribute to the dead, these feasts were moments of deep spiritual significance and unbreakable camaraderie. The purpose, feasting for the gods and glory. Viking feasts were grand affairs, filled with music, storytelling, and ritual offerings. After a victorious battle, warriors gathered to toast their triumph, offering thanks to Odin, Thor, and Freyja for their favor. Seasonal festivals like Yule and Midsummer were also celebrated with elaborate banquets, marking the changing of the seasons and ensuring prosperity for the year ahead. The mead, drink of the gods. No Viking feast was complete without mead, a golden honey-based drink believed to possess divine properties. According to legend, mead was a gift from the gods, granting wisdom, poetry, and even immortality. Drinking it was more than just indulgence, it was a spiritual experience, a way to commune with Odin himself. Mead was also offered to the gods during sacrifices, ensuring their continued blessings upon the people. Celebrating the dead, feasts of remembrance. Honoring the dead was a vital part of Viking life, and feasts played a key role in these rituals. Families gathered to remember their ancestors, telling tales of their bravery and seeking their guidance from beyond. It was believed that the spirits of the deceased watched over the living, protecting their kin and ensuring the prosperity of their bloodline. By feasting in their honor, Vikings strengthened their bond with the afterlife, keeping their ancestors' spirits alive for generations. Imagine sitting by the roaring fire, a horn of mead in hand, surrounded by warriors, elders, and skalds, as tales of gods and heroes echo into the night. Would you raise your cup to the gods and fallen warriors? Deep within the heart of Viking lore lies Seidr, an ancient and mystical form of Norse sorcery. Unlike the brute force of battle, Seidr was a power of the unseen, a way to shape fate, glimpse the future, and bend reality itself. It was feared, revered, and even practiced by the gods. Seers and shamans, the keepers of Viking magic, Seidr was often performed by women known as vulvas, powerful seeresses who could peer into the future, summon spirits, and influence fate. Wrapped in elaborate cloaks and holding sacred staffs, they would enter deep trances, chanting ancient spells to connect with the spirit world. These mystical figures were both respected and feared, sought out by chieftains and warriors to uncover their destinies. However, Seidr was not limited to women, though rare. Some Viking men also wielded this magic, but it came at a price. Practicing Seidr was sometimes seen as unmanly, as it involved surrendering oneself to supernatural forces rather than conquering them with strength. Odin, the god who walked between worlds. The Allfather himself, Odin, was the greatest practitioner of Seidr. Unlike other gods of war and wisdom, Odin was willing to sacrifice everything for knowledge. He plucked out his own eye in exchange for wisdom and even hung himself from Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 nights to unlock the secrets of the runes. Despite being the ultimate warrior, Odin embraced Seidr's dark and unpredictable power, proving that true strength comes not just from the sword, but from the mind and the spirit. The forbidden magic of the Viking Seidr was not just about prophecy, it could manipulate reality itself. A skilled practitioner could call upon storms, blind enemies, or even change fate. But this magic came with danger. Those who practiced Seidr risked being shunned or accused of witchcraft, especially men who could be ridiculed for engaging in what was considered a feminine art. Would you dare to wield this forbidden power? The drinking horn, passed from calloused hand to calloused hand, was no mere vessel. It was a symbol, a bond. Filled with mead, the honeyed drink of the gods, it was offered skyward. A toast to Odin, the Allfather, for wisdom and victory, to Thor for thunderous strength, to Freya for fortune in battle. Each gulp was a prayer, a promise, a pledge to honor their gods, not through blind faith, but through action, through courage, through the spilling of blood, both their own and their enemies. The horn, emptied and refilled, circulated, binding the warriors together in their shared purpose. The drinking horn, passed from calloused hand to calloused hand, was no mere vessel. It was a symbol, a bond. Filled with mead, the honeyed drink of the gods, it was offered skyward. A toast to Odin, the All-Father, for wisdom and victory, to Thor for thunderous strength, to Freya for fortune in battle. Each gulp was a prayer, a promise, a pledge to honor their gods, not through blind faith, but through action, through courage, through the spilling of blood, both their own and their enemies. The horn, emptied and refilled, circulated, binding the warriors together in their shared purpose. The drinking horn was more than just a vessel for mead, it was a conduit for the Vikings' deepest beliefs and aspirations. As the horn made its way around the circle, each warrior took a moment to reflect on the gods they revered. Odin, the Allfather, was invoked for his wisdom and guidance in times of uncertainty. Thor, the god of thunder, was called upon for his immense strength and protection in battle. Freya, the goddess of love and war, was honored for her blessings of fortune and success in their endeavors. Each sip of mead was more than just a drink. It was a sacred act of devotion. The Vikings believed that by drinking from the horn, they were partaking in the essence of the gods themselves. This ritual was a way to draw strength and courage from the divine, to fortify their spirits for the challenges ahead. The act of toasting was not just a social gesture, but a solemn vow to live up to the ideals of their deities. It was a reminder that their lives were intertwined with the will of the gods, and that their actions on earth were a reflection of their faith. The horn, emptied and refilled, circulated, binding the warriors together in their shared purpose. This communal act of drinking and toasting created a powerful sense of unity and camaraderie among the Vikings. It reinforced their bonds as brothers and sisters in arms, united by a common cause and a shared belief in the divine. The drinking horn was a tangible link to their gods, a reminder of their heritage, and a symbol of their unwavering commitment to their way of life. In every sip, they found strength, courage, and a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For a Viking, death in battle was not an end, it was a beginning. The halls of Valhalla awaited, a warrior's paradise. There they would feast eternally, their mead horns refilled by Valkyries, their days spent in glorious combat, honing their skills for the final battle, Ragnarok. This belief, this unshakable faith in something beyond the mortal realm, fueled their courage, made them fearless. Why fear death when a greater destiny awaited? To die a coward was to be cast into the darkness. To die a warrior was to achieve everlasting glory. Among the ranks of these fearsome warriors walked a legend, the Berserker. Known for their unparalleled ferocity and strength, these warriors were the stuff of nightmares for their enemies. They were not just fighters, they were a force of nature, an unstoppable storm on the battlefield. Shrouded in bearskin, their eyes blazing with a terrifying light, they were the embodiment of primal fury. The bearskin was not just for protection, it was a symbol of their transformation. It was said that the spirit of the bear entered them, granting them the strength and ferocity of the beast. Theirs was not a ritual of words, but of transformation. Before battle, they would perform intense rituals invoking the spirits of animals to lend them their power. These rituals were sacred, a blend of ancient chants and physical preparation that pushed them beyond the limits of ordinary men. The line between man and beast blurred. In the heat of battle, they seemed more animal than human, their movements wild and unpredictable. Their enemies often hesitated, struck by the sheer savagery and otherworldly presence of the berserkers. They howled like wolves, fought like bears, their rage an unstoppable force. Some whispered of rituals, of consuming hallucinogenic mushrooms, which heightened their senses and dulled their pain. These mushrooms were believed to open the mind to the spirit world, allowing the berserkers to channel the power of the gods, of chanting themselves into a trance-like state. The chants were more than just words. They were a call to the divine, a plea for strength and protection. In this trance they felt no fear, no pain, only the burning desire to conquer and destroy. Whatever the method, the result was terrifying. The berserkers were a living nightmare, their eyes filled with a madness that could not be reasoned with. They were the ultimate warriors, feared and respected by all who knew of them. The berserker, a whirlwind of violence, became a living weapon, capable of superhuman feats of strength and ferocity. Their legend lives on, a testament to the raw power and indomitable spirit of the Viking warriors. They were not just men, they were the fury of the gods made flesh. The Vikings lived in a world of magic, of spirits and gods, and their rituals tapped into this unseen world. Runes, ancient symbols of power, were carved into weapons, etched onto shields, painted onto their very flesh. Each rune held a specific meaning, a power that could be invoked. Protection, strength, victory. By carving these runes, by calling upon their power, the Vikings believed they were imbuing themselves with their magic. Their weapons became more than steel and wood. They became extensions of their will, imbued with the power of the runes. No ritual of the Vikings was as awe-inspiring or as terrifying as the shield wall. Shoulder to shoulder, their shields interlocked, they formed an impenetrable barrier, a line in the sand, a testament to their discipline and their brotherhood. The rhythmic pounding of swords against shields, a heartbeat of war, echoed across the battlefield. It was a dance of death, a symphony of violence. Each man fought not for himself, but for the brother beside him, for the glory of their ancestors, and for the promise of Valhalla. The Vikings' connection to the sea ran deep. It was in their blood, just as much as the icy fury of their gods. Their longships, sleek and deadly, were more than vessels. They were extensions of the Vikings themselves. Each ship was christened with blood sacrifices, launched with rituals and prayers to ensure safe passage. The sea was unpredictable, just like their gods, and they respected its power. They offered gifts to appease the sea gods, prayed for favorable winds, and faced the storms with the same grim determination they brought to every battle. The Viking Age may be over, but their spirit endures. Their rituals, their beliefs, their unwavering courage continue to captivate and inspire. They remind us that we all have a Viking within us, a primal strength, a thirst for adventure, a willingness to face the unknown head-on. Their stories, passed down through generations, teach us about resilience, about brotherhood, about the importance of facing our fears. They remind us that life is a gift and it should be lived with passion, with courage, and with a song on our lips. So raise your horn, whether filled with mead or simply the spirit of adventure. Embrace the Viking within. Face your challenges head-on. Live with passion. Laugh in the face of adversity, and remember, the halls of Valhalla await those who live a life worthy of legend. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the heart of ancient Scandinavia. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and may the spirit of the Vikings guide you. Goodbye.